Hi everyone, it's Anja here and I'm back with another video for Ophelia Talks. And today we are making a blanket and I am using a tile in the shape of a hexagon. So I am using a pack of 15 colors of Starcraft Special DK, and to be honest, you can use whichever colors you want. You can use your stash, you can use leftovers, as long as you can make a tile from whatever amount you have, that's perfect. So it can be a stash buster blanket as well. So I have walnut, mocha, camel, stone, saffron, spice, tomato, apricot, vintage peach, teal, aspen, empire, turquoise, sherbet and cream. And I am going to be using these colors to make 2 tiles each. So in total I will have 30 tiles. Now if you were to make a baby blanket, you could make 15 tiles and then put them together and see if that's the size that you want. I am doing 30 tiles, so that will give me a play blanket, you know, the size that I like to call a play blanket. But then, of course, if you do 3 tiles of each color, then you will have a single bed size or a twin bed size. So I wanted to have a concept that would allow you to easily make a blanket, and working with a big tile does. And of course, a hexagon is an interesting shape. So once you know how to make this tile, it will be really easy for you to just be making them. So you can just make one here and there, you know. Are you a commuter? You can take it with you, just one ball, make one a day on your trip. One evening, you know, you can make 1 or 2 in an evening, at the weekend, in an afternoon, you know, if you decide, oh, let me just make 1 tile. Then when you have made all your tiles, it's easy to put them together. So first of all, let me show you how to make the tiles, and then I will show you, of course, how to put them together. And I am thinking of a border as well. For this yarn, I always use a 3.5. I am using my higher hook, 3.5. The yarn is prescribed as a 4, so use the hook that you normally use for this yarn. I'm also using a darning needle and scissors, of course. Okay, let's get started. Make a slip knot, whichever way you can. Insert your hook and you close the loop. Then you're going to yarn over and pull through the yarn through the loop on your hook. And again, so we're chaining and we're doing 4 chains. There we go. Now we are going to go back to the first chain here, and I'm going to insert right here, picking up 1 loop here, 2 loops at the back, and you yarn over the yarn, bring it through that chain and then through the loop on your hook. So that's done a slip stitch to create a little circle. As you can see, there's a little hole here. So now we are going to chain 2 to work our height, and this chain 2 is going to count throughout as a double crochet. So this counts as your first double crochet. Then you yarn over, insert into the circle, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. So we've done a second double crochet. So now we're going to do 2 chains, and then this is what we're going to repeat. 2 double crochets, 2 chains. So into that circle there, and you do 2 double crochets, and then you do 2 chains. And you are going to repeat this until you have 6 lots of 2 double crochets and 2 chains. So we've got 2 at the moment. So yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And we do another lot. There we go. Now we have 3 lots. And once more. Two double crochets, 2 chains, and another lot of 2 double crochets and 2 chains. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we need to do one more set of 2 double crochets and 2 chains. There we go. Now we are going to find the V that we created by doing that first double crochet. So here, those 2 chains here, we're going to skip those. And this is the next double crochet that we did. This V here, which is sort of lying, you know, facing you. You're going to go under that V and you're going to do a slip stitch. So we yarn over, bring through the yarn, and then bring through the yarn through the loop on your hook. And now we have created our center, and really this is the start of, yes, indeed, our hexagon. So you now have created 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 chain spaces, and those chain spaces will be given a corner. So these are your 6 corners for your hexagon. So before we start the next round, we are going to go to the correct location to start that round. And that means doing 1 slip stitch into the next chain space. So we just travel along 1 stitch into the next chain space. This brings us to the correct position. Now, as usual, we are going to get started with doing 2 chains. Every round starts with 2 chains. Then we do a second double crochet because those 2 chains count as a double crochet. Then we do 2 chains, and then we do another lot of 2 double crochets. So this is a corner, and each chain space gets a corner. So in this round, all we see are chain spaces. So I'm going to be creating corners of 2 double crochets, 2 chains, and 2 double crochets in each chain space. See? And we just go to the next chain space and we do the next lot of 2 double crochets, 2 chains, and 2 double crochets, and off we go to the next one. I mean, this is a very easy pattern. Once you've got it, and you can be making these tiles, you know, whenever you have the opportunity, whenever you have a leftover that you think is long enough to make this tile, and that way you can be making a blanket, you know, as and when. But also, like I did now, I started with these 15 balls and I've just been making these 2-3 in an evening, and I have now got my 30 tiles. You know, making a big tile will minimize the amount of sewing in you need to do, of course, as well with the ends. So I have now done my 6 corners, And once again, here we are going to be doing the same kind of closing of our round. So we skip the 2 chains. This is the V that was done with that second double crochet here, or the first one, but it counts as the second one. You go under that one, you bring through the yarn, and you bring through the yarn through the loop on your hook, and now you have closed your round. Once again, slip stitch into the next chain space, and the chain spaces once again will get a corner. So that's easy, but we now have more locations. See, here, here, and here, we have a location between the clusters, and that's where we are going to be putting dainty clusters. So start with your 2 chains, your double crochet, your 2 chains, and 2 double crochets. So that's our corner done. Now we are going to have to do a cluster here, and we are indeed, as you might have already realized, using the dainty clusters of 2 double crochets. There we go. So we just place those in between the clusters from the row below, and then of course here we have a chain space. So you are going to be doing your corner. Corner done. Now we do a cluster in between those 2 clusters there, and then we are doing a corner already. There we go. See? And of course, each round you will be doing more and more clusters in between the corners. Then here, yeah, last cluster here. Same thing again, skip the 2 chains, go under that V there, and then do an extra slip stitch to get you into the corner. So you keep making your rounds like this until you have 10 clusters on the side. So here I have 3 clusters, 2 and 1. So next row will be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 until you have 10 rows. And I am just finishing my last round. Few more clusters here. Then of course skipping the chain, going under. There we go. Doing my slip stitch. And that's it. So I now have a tile, and I have done 10 rows, which gives me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 clusters on the side. And I think this will be a good size to make a really nice blanket with sort of, you know, big tiles. So I have laid out my blanket, and as you can see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 width, and then I have 6 tiles high. So each time I'm going to make a panel of 6 tiles like this. So I'm going to put them together there each time. Okay, so I've got my mucker here, I'm going to do my slip knot, insert the hook, and I'm just going to do 1 chain. There we go. Now I'm going to take my tiles and I'm going to join them here, and I'm going to take them up like so that the bad sides are on the inside and the good sides are on the outside. And then let me hold on to my yarn properly. I insert into the chain space and into that chain space there, and I am going to do a single crochet. There we go. Now I'm going to try and find the inner loops of the stitches that you can see on the top here. So this one here is part of the chain space, so I'm going to leave that for now. And then here is the first stitch, this one here. So I'm going to take this loop, and then on the other side, this is my first stitch here, and I'm going to take the loop that's the closest to me. There we go. And you do a single crochet. So pick up the back loop and pick up then what is here the front loop. Or better, the inner loops of the V's that are now lying adjacent to each other. And just periodically check to see that you are picking up the adjacent stitches, that you haven't missed one, or that you have put it sort of a little bit skew-if. But of course, because we have the same amount of stitches in each tile, it should all work out. When you get to the other side, I think this is the last one, yeah, do another single crochet into the corner chain space, a chain, and then you are ready. So then cut off the yarn, and when you lay it down, it should lie nice and flat like this. So now I'm going to add another one here, and so on. So lay out your blanket, see how big and how wide you want it. Like I said, I'm doing 5 wide and 6 tiles high. So first of all, make your strips of the lengths of tiles that you will need for your blanket. Take a picture of it laid out as I did earlier. That will help you greatly. Okay, so I've made my strips, and now I am ready to start putting it together. So I laid out the blanket with the strips again, and then you take one strip and the next one, and you're going to attach with the same way as we did the short sides here, with a single crochet with using the inner loops. So let me just show you how to deal with the corners here and here. So make sure you know exactly where you're starting from your picture. Okay, so this is the first sides I have to attach together. I've got my slip knot as usual. I do my little chain to get started, and then you pick up your both tiles and you're going to go into the chain space to get started. And to be honest, it is the same as before. So you are finding the inner loops, and here make sure, yeah, this is the inner loop of the chain space, so make sure you find the inner loop of that first double crochet, and then also on the other side, and off you go. If you do that first one correctly, then you're more than likely to end up in the correct place at the end, of course, as well. So I am just going to do my single crochets along to the end of this little side here, and then I will show you what to do with your corners. I'm just picking up the last double crochets. Then I have here a chain space and here a chain space. So I'm going to do a single crochet like so. But then of course I have the next tile and I have a chain space there. So I'm going to go back into my chain space of this tile here, and I am going to do another single crochet in there, attaching it to the next tile into its chain space. So when you have a chain space, one, you use it twice, and when you have two chain spaces next to each other, you use those one time each. Okay, so that's how it goes. And then once again, you lay your blanket so that this is nicely next to your tile that you're working on. And like I said before, you find that very first and this very first one here, and off you go again. So there you do the next side, and this is how you keep going. Here you will have your two chain spaces on this side, and you will have your one here. So you use these each once and this one twice. Okay, I'm just doing the last stitch here, just making sure I pick up the right one. And now, of course, I have the two chain spaces on this side and the one here. So I'm going to use this one with this one at the back. And then I go and use this one with the same one at the back, of course. There we go. So then you use the two chain spaces once and the one chain space twice, as I did before. And this is how you are going to continue all along your side, and of course for all the other strips that you have created. So when you finished this row here, you take your next strip and you add it onto this part until you have added all your 5 strips together. So I have made it to the end of my row here, and just for good measure, in the end chain space here and then here, I put 2 single crochets just to, you know, anchor it really. Then you do your chain and that's it. Okay, so let's cut it off and pull it through. So now I have managed to put them all together. So this is what it looks like now. So now I am ready for the border. Okay, so let's get started on the border. So I'm going to do my slip knot, insert my hook, and you can get started anywhere, but I'm just going to get started about here so I can show you how to do the tip. And then of course there are indents as well, so I'm going to have to show you how to do those. Once you know those, off you go, and you can do as many rounds as you want. So I've got my hook, I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to go under a V, and I'm going to place a double crochet, and you're just going to put 1 double crochet in every V along the sides of your tiles. I'm keeping my double crochets quite tight, so I'm doing a little tug at the end of every one. So now we're at the corner here, and this is a tip, so we are going to make the exact same corner as we have been used to in the tiles. So we are doing 2 double crochets, 2 chains and 2 double crochets into that chain space there. Then you just continue doing your double crochets on top of the double crochets. And keeping them nice and tight. Okay, so this is what this looks like now. So when you get to a dip, you're going to do double crochets up to the last dainty cluster. This dainty cluster, you're going to get started on doing your dip. So you're going to do 4 double crochets together. So yarn over and put 1 double crochet into that dainty cluster here, and then only do half of it, then yarn over, start another double crochet in the next stitch. So you now have 3 loops on your hook. Then you skip the chain space. You then skip the chain space on the next tile. Then you do another double crochet, only half of it, in the next stitch, and another one of those in the next stitch. So you now have 5 loops on your hook, and you have those 2 dainty clusters here. You've used them to do 4 double crochets, which you only have finished half. Then you yarn over and you pull through all the 5 loops on your hook. And this has created, let me just do a few double crochets just so I can show you nicely. This has created a dip, to be honest. And you will see that it will lie flat and it will follow the contour of your blanket. There we go. Let me just show you. See, look. So you do 4 double crochets together in the dip and your usual corner in the tip. And this is how you are going to go around your whole blanket, creating your border. Now you can do as many rows as you want, and of course each time you end your row you do a slip stitch and then you chain up and you start your next row. You can keep it simple and just do the 1 row. So this is where I'm at the moment. I am quite enjoying the look of this border, and I think I might just keep it at a single round. So then this afternoon I will be sewing in some of these ends, well, all of the ends actually, because I still haven't done any of that, but I don't mind. I just sit down with some YouTube and I can do that. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this process. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.